Well, we're just still a few minutes out from getting started, so we will begin promptly just after 7 o'clock. Appreciate you all being here this evening. We'll do introductions shortly, but do want to thank you for logging on early, getting connected. Hopefully, you're able to hear and see us all right. We'll be sharing our screen here shortly as well with some slides. And some things that we'll go over. Also, though, we really do design these sessions to try to get a lot of questions in. So I do want to encourage you, if you have those tonight, we'll be using the chat throughout the evening. Also, time to pause and discuss and ask questions the old-fashioned way, if you want to do it that way as well. But do want to again welcome you and want to thank you for being part of this session tonight and for your interest in the online MBA program at U of L. Yeah, I completely understand. Courtney, sorry, I just saw your note there in the chat. And again, if you're just joining us, welcome comments throughout the evening. And we do understand some people may be listening in or sometimes commuting or number of things on these sessions. So no pressure whatsoever to turn your cameras on or anything like that. But we do want to make sure that you can hear us all right. I will note here in just a moment as well that this is a recorded session. So you'll have access to that after the fact. You can go back and watch that at your convenience if you need to catch up on anything that you may have missed throughout the session. We are nearing that time. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing the screen, and here in just a moment, we'll get started. Tony, is that coming through okay?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Well, we are just about within a few seconds here, according to my clock, at the 7 o'clock Eastern appointed hour. So I do want to officially welcome you tonight to this online MBA information session at the University of Louisville's College of Business. It is a pleasure to host you tonight. My name is Dr. Zac Goldman. I'm actually the program director of the online MBA. And have been now for about the last 7 years, and really enjoy the work we get to do, the people we get to do it with, including two of my incredible colleagues who are on the call tonight as well, Safoni Bazile and Claire Ansman, who are joining us tonight and who can help answer some of your questions throughout the evening. As I am going to be sharing the screen, it's a little hard for me to manage the chat or to see questions or comments, things that come in there, but my colleagues will definitely try to respond quickly to things that you may have questions about. They may also summarize a few things and share a few things in the chat, so be looking out for that. But as I was just mentioning a moment ago, we'll also have plenty of time at the end of this, and I'll try to even work in a little bit during the middle of this to answer your questions in real time. So if you have anything about the program that you want to know more about, we are going to try to give some overviews tonight of some things that I think are frequently asked questions, and that comes with the benefit or the experience of managing or directing the program for 7 years. I tend to know a lot of the frequently asked questions before they're asked, so we'll try to get to a lot of those throughout the evening. But I do want to take a moment again to thank you all for your interest in the online MBA program at U of L. It's a program that, as we'll talk about here in just a moment, we're really proud of. It has a lot of growing history now over the last 7 or so years. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well as we dive into things. Again, tonight's session really is designed to try to answer questions, questions that I suspect or I anticipate you may have for us, the business school at the University of Louisville. But I am an educator, and it is part of my job to ask questions myself, particularly about our students and what it is that interests them in a program like this. And so tonight I really have two questions that I want you thinking about throughout the session. And I encourage you, if you have thoughts immediately that stand out, drop those in the chat. I'd love to read those. Our team would love to hear about those. Specifically, this first one, what is it that interests you about an MBA? And that's a question that I'm sure you have had some time to think about, especially if you've taken the time to be here tonight. You've registered for this event, you showed up, you took a time out of your evening And so whether you are already an admitted student, and I know we have one or two of those on the call tonight, congratulations. We're really excited for you and to work with you in the coming semester. Or if you're just a student who's interested, you have some questions, you have some ideas, you want to know more, we welcome you on this call as well. And really, we welcome anyone who wants to know more about the online MBA program at U of L. So I am curious genuinely about that first question. If you have thoughts, if you have things that you're willing to share, please do share them in the chat. We'd love to read through those and get to know you a little bit better. But the second one, I also want you thinking about throughout this session, what are the questions that you have that we're not answering? Because we want to do that tonight. We want to make sure that this is an opportunity in a session that's worth everybody's time. I, like everybody else, have a busy day and a busy evening, and I've got kids in the background that you'll probably hear occasionally on this call because they're still a little wired up after dinner. But I'm sure all of you have things going on in your life. You have commitments professionally and personally, I'm sure, and yet you have taken time tonight to be here. So we want to make sure that we answer your questions. So please be thinking about those. Please don't be shy to ask them. There really are no dumb questions when it comes to your interest in the program. And that truly comes from a position of having heard every possible question that you might imagine about an MBA degree. We welcome yours tonight. So please do share those throughout the call. We'd love to get to those as we will have certainly some time to do so. But I think it's helpful to get a little bit of an overview, particularly what is this program? Where did it come from? What's its purpose? What's its goals? I think those are all fair starting points when you think about an MBA program like ours. And I will tell you that the University of Louisville has offered an MBA degree for decades, long before I was there, long before I was even born. I actually met somebody 2 weeks ago who said, "Yeah, I'm an MBA grad." And I said, "Oh, yeah, what year?" And they said, 1983. And I said, "It's a little before my time." So that's just, we have alums, all over the city, all over the region, all over the country, all over the world who have come through the MBA program at U of L now, truly for decades. And that's exciting. That's something to pause and reflect about when opportunities allow themselves to. But this program specifically, the online MBA program, is the same degree. It's the same continuation of that experience that people have had for decades. Of course, updated significantly over the years. But one of the things that we know is that, especially as we were nearing, and this program actually started before the pandemic, but even as we were nearing that point in time, the need for flexibility, the need for having more opportunity to engage with your education at a schedule that allows you to work around other commitments. That was evident for us even well before the pandemic. And so this program launched in 2019, the online modality. It is entirely online, meaning you can complete the entire degree from the beginning to the end with your online classes, which is something that, again, took many years to get that launched, to get that approved, to also get the support and the infrastructure to really do that and do it well. But we have reached that point, and since 2019, we've offered the MBA degree at the University of Louisville online asynchronous. Now, I say that because the second part I think is equally, if not even more important. There is, especially if you've done your research and you kind of look at all the different options that are out there, there is a plethora of online degree options out there. And I'm not going to single anybody out. I'm not going to mention any other schools or any other places. But what was evident for us, and I was part of the original faculty committee that helped launch this, back before the pandemic began. And one of the things that we discussed extensively, as faculty are known to do from time to time, is how important the quality of the degree is, and how important that those graduates from 1983 had a high quality experience that stuck with them for decades later. We wanted the same experience, the same level of education and the quality that one should expect from a university like U of L, a Research One university, a highly engaged community university, an institution that has some of the very best research and faculty and staff members that you're going to find on the planet. We wanted to make sure that the degree and the quality of the degree reflected that. And so quality and flexibility, I've always said, have been the two founding pillars, if there were such a thing, in the construction of the online MBA at U of L. And from there, a lot of design and a lot of infrastructure and things have stemmed from those two pillars. So if you look through here, we are an asynchronous program. Well, that reflects the flexibility piece. And asynchronous quite simply means you can complete this degree at a variety of times, whether you are working the day shift, you have commitments in the evening, you got stuff going on during the afternoons, whatever you have going on, it is a commitment. It's certainly still a commitment that requires a significant amount of time, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment. But it's time that you get to decide. It's time that you have flexibility around. It's time that you get to put a plan in place that fits your life. And I think that's really important. We do have a lot of deadlines. We do give you a lot of structure. We do make sure that things keep moving forward. But the times in which you're logging on, the times in which you're connecting with your peers or your faculty members, a lot of that's going to have the baked in flexibility that I'm talking about. And that's the benefit of an asynchronous program. Now, the next bullet point here, I'm not going to read all these bullet points to you throughout the evening. I just don't believe in that. But these first two are pretty important. The next bullet point, I think, gives you a really good sense of how we structure time as faculty and as a business school. We build out these courses one class at a time. And I shouldn't say build out. We enroll you in these courses, the full-time online MBA program, one course at a time, primarily as you're working yourself through the core of the degree. So what that looks like is you're taking a 3 credit hour course every 5 weeks. And that's at the graduate level a pretty significant undertaking, as our current and former students will tell you. Every 5 weeks kind of feels, I've used this analogy before, and apologies to Safoni and Claire and others who may have heard me use it, but it does feel like you're running a marathon, but you're doing it in a series of sprints, which I don't know if I got any marathon runners on the call. I am not one, but I know enough to know that's not how you run a marathon. And I can tell you that's part of the challenge. It's certainly part of the strain that you'll likely encounter at working through an MBA like this. But I do think there's a really significant upside, and that's the reason why we've done this, is because you're able to really focus and concentrate, even though for a short duration of time, on the subject matter, because you're trying to balance everything else going on in your life. And so rather than having you take 3 or 4 classes at a time, which sometimes graduate programs like MBAs will do, you're really concentrated on what you're learning at that given point in time. And again, that reflects the quality pillar. So back and forth, you can kind of work your way through here and see the different ways in which quality and flexibility really were anchoring everything that we did. And these kind of core features here were the start of that as we got things launched back in 2019 and have continued to evolve this program over the 7 years since. I'll get into these other bullet points in just a moment, so no need to stress on those. But as you can see here, this program has a lot to offer. It certainly has a lot to provide for our students. And I think that as you get to know this program better, and as those of you who get started in this program in our upcoming start date, which will be here coming up in August, we do have 2 intakes a year. And so that's really important to know, because this whole model, and something I'll talk about on the next slide, is predicated on community. It's predicated on the fact that even though you're online, you're not alone. And that's something else that I've said way too many times throughout my time as the director of this program. But I truly believe it, and I'll continue to say it so long as I direct this program, because I think it's so important that students know that faculty know that, staff know that while we are an online MBA program, it is something that relationships are still key and critical to what we do and how we do it, just like they are in every other aspect of business and in the business school at UofL. So, speaking of those relationships, what is it? You mentioned cohorts, Dr. Goldman. What does that mean? What does that mean for me specifically as a student who's interested in this program? Well, those are really important questions, because I think it's critical that you understand. Again, there's so many different models out there. There's so many different types of programs out there, and I'm not going to say anything negative about any of the other ones. I will simply say sometimes online degrees can feel pretty isolationary. They can feel pretty removed from what I think it really makes education special, makes education work, which is relationships and interactions and exchanges. And I've studied that. I've been fortunate to study and research that for better part of 15 years now. And I can tell you that emphatically, that is really what makes the best program stand out. is that the relationships and the communication and the engagement between faculty, staff, students, alumni, and community partners really is at the anchor in the center of what we do and how we do it. And that really stems out of our cohort model. So cohorts, again, 2 start dates a year. We don't take more than that. We get there's some pros and cons with that. I'm probably told about once every couple of months that we need to get more intakes. And I understand that, and I certainly will continue. We'll continue to explore those options. But I do think that having 2 start dates, one in August, one in January, allows us to build these communities. It really does. Because think about it, if you're going through a journey together, it's important that you start together. It's important that you progress in some fashion together. And so working in teams, working in cohorts, this photo here that you see is near and dear to my heart, just taken a few days ago, I guess now a week or two ago. But this was our most recent graduating class, the fall 24 cohort. And as you can see, they were a group that always showed up, whether they were online, in person, whatever they were doing. They showed up for each other. They engaged with each other. They helped support each other. And it became one of our most successful cohorts to date, just how connected they were. Again, I don't believe in reading all these slides to you, so you can read some of that additional details for yourself. But one of the things I will point out, which will be more evident even on the next slide, is just how diverse our students are. And I say this from multiple lenses. Our students come to us from all different backgrounds, which is something I'm really proud of and excited by because it'd be kind of boring if you just worked with the same group of people all the time. We don't have that problem. We have students from every background you can imagine, with all types of different skills and perspectives that they bring to the program and to these classes, which makes it absolutely an enriching learning environment. But they also come to us from all different parts of the world, different parts of the country, as you'll see on the next slide here in just a moment. And they come to us at different ages, different points in their lives. I just think that that is such an important part of a cohort model, is that you're getting to experience and you're being exposed to perspectives that you may not otherwise get a chance to really interact with. And that's business. That really is why an MBA is a diverse degree. You're learning things like, and we'll get into this, don't worry, but accounting and finance and marketing and management and econ. Well, it's a diverse set of classes that I just referenced there. And you're going to be experiencing diverse points of view that I think it's really essential that we have cohorts like this that you can experience that in real human terms. And so you're working on a team project and you may be collaborating with an engineer, marketing professional, and I don't know, an accountant. And sounds like the lead up to a bad joke, right? But you're working with these folks and you're seeing how they think about things. You're seeing and you're encountering their own lenses that they process their problems and their challenges through and how they see opportunity. And to me, I think that's really essential when you're trying to advance your understanding of business, but you're also trying to advance your leadership and your approach to other people. It's a perfect opportunity, in my opinion, to really deepen and develop your own personal and interpersonal skills, but also to develop your relationships, which to me is such an important part of graduate school. And I can share lots of experiences on that front, but some of my closest friends to date are still people that I went to grad school 15 years with, 15 years ago with. And I think that for many of our students, many of our alums, they have a similar experience through this cohort model. Again, not going to read to you, but I love all three of the people that you see on this screen as alums of the program. They continue to be great ambassadors of this program. Sarah Lopez, Raymond Shields, Michael Henderson, all of which have gone on and continue to do great things. Michael was actually, I think it was last summer, was on the billboard right as you cross 65. For those of you across the Ohio there on 65. For those of you who are local to Louisville, you may recognize his face. He was featured in a campaign for online learning at the university. And Sarah and Raymond equally have done some incredible things in their careers and are really well known in their respective fields. But all of them spoke to what I just spoke to in their own words. And I think their words speak for themselves. I won't say much more about them, but I think they really help highlight from a student's point of view why those relationships are so meaningful when you're thinking about graduate education in a business environment. All right, I told you one more slide would really illustrate this. And man, I'm loving this because we are getting close. We're getting really close to getting all 50 states. That was a weird little goal that I set for myself when we started this. Was like, man, it'd be cool if we got all 50 states. Got a little work to do. I got to get out into the plains out there. I gotta hit up North Dakota and South Dakota and Nebraska. We gotta go on a little recruiting trip, Claire. Maybe we can figure out how we get some of those states featured in the program. But we have obviously attracted students from really all over the country. And, it's hard to see, but even down at the bottom there, we have students internationally, especially our military members. And we'll talk a little bit more about them in just a moment. But we have military members stationed overseas, including right now. Here in this program. And so it's really a unique and special opportunity, especially if you don't get outside of the Louisville region very often. And I was listening at the start of the call. I know we got at least one person up near Cincy. I suspect we may have some other places represented on this call. If you're in one of these states, by the way, that is not colored in, you better let me know, please, because definitely got to find West Virginia at some point. That's my alma mater is WVU. So it pains me not to see a WVU represented or West Virginia represented there on our map. But as you can tell, and in all seriousness, again, students come to this program truly from all over the world, and that is such a unique, again, perspective that you'll develop while in this program working with students from different backgrounds. All right, so that's the student side. And I think that's really important because you spend a lot of time, conversating, engaging in various team assignments, etc. But I also obviously understand, and I can speak for hours about how incredible I think our faculty are. As a member of that faculty, I've gotten to know and work very closely with really all of our faculty in the online MBA program. And I can tell you we have something truly special here, something truly unique. And I think part of that is based on what you see right here on your screen, which is that we operate much like we ask our students to operate with teams and in functional leadership roles. We do work with our full-time faculty at the College of Business. The reason I stress that, and the reason I think that's important for everybody to know, not every program is going to do that. Not every MBA program out there, again, not going to mention names, but there's a lot of programs out there where essentially it's, they will outsource or they will brand a certain university or a certain brand of sorts. But then a lot of those faculty are not necessarily full-time or even long-term contributors to those institutions. It's an interesting market. It's an interesting place certainly to work and to experience that. But I can tell you that, people like Dr. Ryan Quinn, who has an office just down a couple doors down from me and is our incredible faculty member who leads up our leadership and organizational behavior course. He has amongst himself an incredible team. One of the things I would point out about these team members is that all of them bring their own expertise, their own experience. We don't just hire grade assistants. We don't just hire people who go in and help us with things like that. These are dedicated professionals, people who have their own experiences and insights to offer, oftentimes very complementary to our faculty. Leadership and organizational behavior, not necessarily the best example of this, because I think Dr. Quinn does a lot of great work as well in the professional community and other places, much like his team does. But I'll give you an example like from finance or accounting. When you think about those kinds of courses, you're going to learn the actual finance side, the academic side, the numbers side. Like, what does this all mean, and how do I make sense of it? And you're going to get that from our full-time faculty members in the College of Business, which I think is incredible. But one of the things that you'll also experience is that you'll have faculty section leaders, people who work with these teams, who are working in those respective areas. Maybe they're involved directly in the financial or accounting operations of a Yelp Brands or a Humana or a GE or a Ford. These are the kinds of places that are actually practicing these things and are actually integrating these skills into the workplace. And I love that because you're getting both the academic and the professional side captured amongst these teams. And I think that's really special and something that's unique about our teaching model. Just a sample of where those people come from. I mentioned a few of those already, but we have incredible partnerships with the city of Louisville and the broader region. So many of them featured here, but so many of them are not as well. We have so many other partnerships that feed into this program through our section leaders, but also through other opportunities and other partnerships that we've been able to cultivate through the online MBA over the years. And I think that's really special as well. Because Louisville, for those of you who are local here, and I was very fortunate. My dad was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky. I grew up not too far down the road in southern Indiana. This is a community that many of us, myself included, are really proud to be a part of. A lot of potential and a lot of opportunity, and these community partners are a big reason why. And so to have them backing and supporting the program in various ways really does mean a lot. I think it means a lot to our students as well, who many of whom go on to work in these organizations themselves. All right, I'm going to take a quick pause, make sure that I haven't lost everybody, and see if there's any questions so far before I get into this slide, because this one's a little bit more complex, got a little bit more things going on. I will walk you through it. But let me pause here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a moment, kind of peek back into the main room. So, Phony, did you see any questions come through, or does anybody have questions so far that they would like me to elaborate on while we have a few minutes?
No questions in the chat, just me typing away.
Appreciate Safoni keeping us on track there, and she's always putting some great reminders, and especially if I forget something or maybe I'm not always as clear as I should be, she's great at kind of following up and hitting some of those points. So I appreciate Safoni doing that, and again, I encourage all of you to kind of keep an eye out on the chat for some of those things as we go along. Any questions though from our audience or from those with us tonight before I keep moving forward? All right, not hearing any, I'll jump back into things. Safoni, were you going to say something?
Yes, I was going to say if you could talk a little bit more about the section leader model.
Absolutely. So the way it actually works, let me just pull back up that slide because I think I think in terms of people. I see people and it's easier to talk when I'm seeing some of their faces. So let's go back to that slide just real quickly. So the way it actually works, you have the same kind of interactions and opportunities to engage with our faculty as any other MBA student does. Again, quality was really important to us. But one of the things that we know is that being online, it requires faculty and instructors to be more intentional about outreaches, about engagement, about follow-ups, because I'm sure we've all experienced situations where you sent an email and then it just kind of gets lost into a void, right? And you may not get the response, that you're looking for or a response at all. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's encountered that at some point in my professional journey. We know that is not something that can really that's going to be something that creates a lot of problems in an online learning environment. And so to have a team like this, you get a lot of personalized attention, individual conversations. You get feedback extensively from our team members. You get to work one-on-one with either our section leaders or our faculty. They spread out our office hours so that you have lots of opportunities to connect with faculty. I did, and I should mention this more. We are an asynchronous program, like I said, but it's not that we are bound to only being asynchronous. And what I mean by that is we provide a lot of optional opportunities to engage synchronously. And so think about that. There may be a week where you can't come and talk to your faculty member because you got whatever going on, or school or kids or whatever. But then one of the things, get into the next week, you're like, you know what? I'm really struggling with this concept, or I'm really struggling with this assignment. I need to talk to somebody. Well, let me take a look, and I've got Dr. Quinn's office hours are on Tuesday. I'm making this part up because I don't know what his office hours are, but Dr. Quinn's office hours are on Tuesday, and my section leader, Vivian Blade, her office hours are on Wednesday. I may not be able to do one, but I can do the other. Let me jump on this call. Let me have a conversation with this person. Let me follow up and get a couple email responses real quick. That's the benefit of having a team, is that you're never going to be left alone. You're never going to be left out in the cold. You're going to have somebody there to help you, to guide you, to help you make sure that you're understanding the information and the materials. Because let's face it, this is a tough program. It's a program that is designed to push you. And so there will be courses and there will be assignments that I anticipate you'll struggle with at some point or another. We all do, right? Because you just don't know it all. Even if you have a deep background in, let's say, accounting, which is normally a course people struggle in sometimes. But you may have a deep background in accounting and you're cruising while everybody else is struggling. Chances are, if you have a deep background in accounting, you may not have that same kind of experience in marketing, or you may not have that same kind of perspective from an econ point of view. So there may be other things that you do struggle in. And again, two things that really help in those moments. Number one, having a peer support group around you, people who you can talk to, people who you can ask questions with, what are you doing? How do you see this? But then also having an incredible instructional team, somebody who can really support you there and is credible and knows the subject at a very deep level, like our faculty do. So thank you, Sony. It's a great question and a great opportunity to kind of elaborate a little bit more about how our section leaders follow up with our faculty.
We did have a question pop up in the chat. I was going to answer, but I'll just read it
Yeah,
out loud
please.
so you can answer it. Samuel asked, does the section leader stay with you for the duration of the MBA program or just for every 3 credit hour course?
Yeah, great question. So the section leaders do rotate. They are often subject matter expertise. So when you get into a course like finance, you're going to have people who have expertise and experience in finance. And then as you finish that course, you'll transition into something like operation management or supply chain. You're going to want people with backgrounds in that area as well. So they rotate out as you rotate through the courses. You do have extended opportunities, though, to connect and stay engaged with your faculty. They don't go anywhere. That's the beautiful part about having the full-time faculty. There may be something that comes up, in your second or third semester, and you think back to like, oh, you know what? They talked about this in my first semester. Let me go ask Dr. Klein, or let me go ask Dr. Goyle, what I should do here. And you do have that kind of relationship. You also have our team members who stay with you, myself, Safoni, our colleague, Trisha Townsend. You have a support team that does follow you throughout the program and is there for you throughout. But our section leaders are part of the rotation that do come through the program as our students go through the curriculum. It's a great question. I may have to yell at my children here shortly because they're being too loud. At least it's distracting for me. I don't know if you all can hear that or not, but we'll see. We'll give it another slide or two and see how they're doing. All right, jumping back into the curriculum because this is where we left off, and I want to make sure I have a chance to kind of walk you through what this really looks like and what this means as far as time and as far as your point of view as a potentially incoming student for the fall 2026 semester. So we are here up at the very top before classes begin because our classes for the fall start. I should have that date. Phony would probably drop it in the chat before I even have a chance to check it. But I know we're in August, Phony. I think mid-August. August. Let me shoot it out.
August 17th.
18th. Ah,
August 17th, I believe.
yeah. All right. August 17th. So that is when our first day of fall classes begin. So that is right here into your first semester. MBA 626 would begin at that day. But as you can see, prior to that, there's a lot of things that we do to make sure that you're prepared, that you're ready to go, that you have everything you need to be successful. And I think that's something that not all programs do a good enough job, in my opinion, of doing that. They kind of throw you in the deep end and let you sink or swim. I'm speaking from some personal experience there. That was similar to my master's program. I had very little preparation other than, hey, go pick up your card and your ID card and show up on Monday and we'll help you. We do a lot of preemptive work, including an entire welcome week that precedes that first class and making sure that you have everything that you need, the connections that you need. We introduce you to our dean. You hear from our senior leadership team. We really make sure that you get connected to the business school and understand who we are, what we do, why we do it, and all that occurs prior to the first semester. After that, that's when the fun begins. Because as I said, those 5-week courses, as you see over here, run pretty quickly. 5 weeks. I don't know if you've ever tried to actually count 5 weeks before. It seems to come and go in a blink of an eye sometimes, and I guess that probably depends on the course because sometimes certain courses I've been told can feel a little longer than 5 weeks, even though I can verify the fact that they are indeed that many days. So you take the first 5 weeks. That's applied microeconomics with Dr. Audrey Klein. Truly an incredible colleague. She is a maybe 3-time now award winner of the Graduate Faculty Teaching Award in the business school. We're very fortunate that she helps lead our first course because so much of that course is setting a foundation for your success throughout the entire program. For those of you who remember, some of you I'm sure had microeconomics as an undergraduate student, but some of you may not have. It really is a cornerstone of business, in my opinion. But also, she is reintroducing you to life in school again, and she's great at it. She really is. She will hold you accountable, but she's also somebody who I think understands what you're going through. And I think that's really important, especially in those first 5 weeks, to have somebody that can kind of ease you back into life as a graduate student. After that, you take my course, Strategic Managerial Communication. I ratchet up things a little bit for you. That's when you start working in teams. That's when we start integrating some things now with AI and some other stuff that you're going to learn all about. So that happens in the second set of classes. Then you go on to statistics, and then on down the road we go. I won't go through all the classes right now, but I want you to kind of get a feel for, okay, and that's your first semester. And I know most of us are accustomed to semesters as undergraduates, but that's going to run August through really the first week of December. Then you're going to have a break before your second semester, which will pick up in January begins. And that's when we have structured a lot of our quantitative courses. So your accounting classes, your finance classes start to fall into there. And then onward we go. It is important to note that we are relatively speaking year round. When I say relatively, we do have some breaks built in between these semesters, but they are oftentimes just about a week long. The exception to that is the winter break, the winter holidays. We do provide a pretty extended break there that aligns with the universities, where you'll have most of, I won't say all of, you'll have much of December that is not going to be in class. I think that statistics course that you'll have that first semester, I believe will wrap up usually the first week of December, giving you roughly about 4 weeks or so between that and the start of your second semester. So there are some extended breaks in there, especially around those holidays. But otherwise, that third semester that you're seeing there is a summer term. So we run through summer as well with, again, a couple of breaks, small, modest breaks in there. And so I think it's important for everybody who's interested in this program to hear, because one of the questions I get is like, what if I need to take a vacation or I got a work trip planned in August? Like, what do I do with these kinds of stuff? The short answer is one, we'll work with you. We'll figure it out. That's the thing I always try to tell people up front is, let's talk to me. Let's sit down. Let's figure out when exactly, those dates are. Let's see when that coincides with the program, etc. But two, that's the beautiful thing about an online program. Again, the flexibility piece coming back up. Most of you will take, I'm sure, your laptops to a work trip. I know personally, I don't love taking a laptop on vacation, although I've certainly done it many times. But it's one of those things where you can work ahead if you choose to do that. So you're going to be missing week 3 of your statistics class. Well, in week 2, I'm doing double effort, and I'm going to make sure I get weeks 2 and 3 done. So that way, when I do step out, I have most of that done, and I may just kind of check my emails and keep an eye on things while I go on vacation with my family. That kind of stuff. A lot of that is individual discretion and what you want to do, how comfortable you are with working ahead, etc. But I think it's really helpful to see kind of this full timeline, this full picture, because we are approximately, and I'm accounting for those winter breaks as well, but approximately a 20-month program. For those who will start in August of 2026, your anticipated graduation date would be May of 2028, which I know may feel like a long time away, but I can assure you, as somebody who has even seen some of the contracts for those graduation dates already, it's really just around the corner. This time does go pretty quickly, and so we want to make sure that you're getting a maximum amount of engagement and opportunity while you're in the program. All right. I'm gonna go back actually and pause and take any specific questions on that because I know this one always brings about all kinds of questions. And if people have them, I'd love to address them while we have this slide pulled up.
There aren't any questions in the chat.
Quite all right. That just means one of two things. I've explained it clearly, which I'm going to go with that answer, or I've overwhelmed people and I've given them too much to think about at once. And that I've been known to do that. I can talk pretty quickly and cover a lot of things pretty fast. So if that is the case, number one, I remind you this is a recorded call. You can go back, you can slow me down to like half speed, a quarter speed, whatever you're comfortable with, or you can speed me up to whatever speed is tolerable. But these are things too that we have a lot of information about on our websites. We're always willing, myself, our team, to sit down and kind of explain these things in more detail as you get ready to get started. In fact, you see up at the top of this, one of the things we do is do a kickoff session about what I'll talk about on the next slide. One of our signature initiatives that we do throughout the program. So you'll have opportunities certainly before you get started to ask more questions and get more information as you draw closer to the start date. So, what is that signature opportunity that you mentioned, Zach? Sounds like something I should know about as a potentially prospective or interested student in this program. Well, it's called the Cardinal Choice Assignment, and I'll give you the brief background, but I promise we'll give you more as you dive into things, and you'll have that kickoff session where you'll have a one-on-one consultation with our team. You'll get even more information there. I'll talk about it at the orientation. There's lots of times you'll hear me talk about it. So, the brief and short version of it is this. When we first launched the program,